Bet Online is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting in 2025. Whether you're a seasoned fan or a first-time bettor, Bet Online is your ultimate game day companion with the largest selection of odds on everything from NBA and college basketball to NHL and UFC. Bet Online continues to be your number one sports betting source for every three-pointer to hat trick. Bet Online has you covered with odds, stats, and more for every game, every play, and every win. Bet Online, the game starts here. Bet on. Thank you for.
Yeah. Boogie like Vincent, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Long as I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. Sports Coma, yeah, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like Vincent, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like Elf. I thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your chain for the championship. Bucking on town, duck down. Falcons, pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL, when things seem fishy and you probably smell the crooked referees on Roger Goodell. Yeah, probably like this and I'm a who that. Every day I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like this and I'm a who that. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
All right, shout out to the mighty Who That Nation, man. Welcome. We're now rocking with the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys, where we have intense, entertaining, educating, enlightening sport talk from your favorite sports fam. Shout out to the fam. Appreciate y'all for being in this late episode of the Coma, man. Sorry, man. It's been kind of a busy time for your boy, man, but I'm here, man. Shout out to you guys. Appreciate you being in a late night edition of the Coma, man. The Saints done making any moves, fam. As you can see, the Saints did do some positive stuff. They were able to sign a starting left guard. How about that? And listen, the question I have to the family members is offensive lineman Dillion Radunz better than Lucas Patrick? Guess what? You damn right he is. All right, so big ups to y'all, man. What's happening, man? Shout out to everybody out there, man. I know it's late, man. I'm coming at y'all guys. Much love to the fam in the live and those on the replay, man. Y'all hit the like button, sub up if you're not a sub, and feel free to share, baby. Sharing is caring, man. Share on your social media feed. We up in this thing. Saints Inc. offensive lineman, and they did talk to this fellow, and ultimately they decided to sign him. Now, Dylan, I did watch some tape on Dillion Radunz, and he has a lot of positives to his game as well, and some negatives. But in the end, the way I gauge the success of the team is this player an upgrade at what we had prior to? And I would have to say, hell yeah, he an upgrade. What say you, Saints, great Saint think tank, Who Dat Nation? What's up, Cartel? Shout out to you. All right, big ups to you. Shout out to my girl Deborah. Shout out to you. Appreciate you, Queen, for being in the building, always ripping. All right, Poppy 504, Cartel, Young City 9. Big ups to the fam, OG Jerry, Backwoods, Clint. What's up, brother Derek? What's happening, my brother? I hope everything all right with you, my man. Appreciate you. One of the day ones in this piece. Shout out to Muse. What's poppin', Muse? How you doing? Shout out to you, Lori. All the queens are out in the shout out to y'all, man. What's up, Byron? Big ups to brother Byron as well. Brother Joseph, how you doing, sir? Appreciate you as well. Much love to everybody in the chat. Slim, I see you, fam. Big ups to you. 504 Cole. Everybody, baby. Now, fam, let's kind of delve into it because I'm not going to try to keep you along in this broadcast as well. I just wanted to touch down with some news. We'll go over several news notes and items and keep it moving on this smooth, laid back QF the Dogcast. QF the Dog. Man, like old late night DJ, man. QF the Dog, baby. It's all gonna come hanging out here, baby. It's all good. All right. So anyway, the Saints pick up offensive lineman Dillion Radunz, man, 4 years with Tennessee. He appeared in 54 games with 31 starts, seeing time at spots at both guard spots and tackle spots as well. He in 2024 appeared in 15 contests and he played at the right guard position. And guess what? We need that help. We damn sure need that guard help, baby. So, I mean, that was big getting him here. And of course, Mickey Loomis announced it and he made it pop. So 6'6", 301. He's a 4-year veteran, like we talked about. He was a second-round selection by the Titans back in 21 draft. Young player, man. A lot of experience. 54 games with 31 starts ain't nothing to sneeze at. Starting all 15 games last year. Had a really good, solid career coming from North Dakota State. We know they have a very good program now in Division II. I want to say they're in. And it was just phenomenal. So action in 33 career games with 32 starts. Like I said, I watched it. It's a ton of accolades attached to this player. A lot of positives I've seen to his game. He's not a perfect player, but you know what's such a thing as a perfect player? Is he a budding Pro Bowler? No. But this is a solid player based on your offensive line coach can come in and kind of get this guy together. But what's really interesting about this move is the fact that the Saints, this is probably, family, no disrespect to some of the other acquisitions that we had in terms of the new players that we had added to the team. This player here is probably the, of all others, this guy is going to be a starter. I don't anticipate him coming in here and being a new Lucas Patrick and so far as being this sixth offensive lineman, that type of thing. By all indications, he could possibly be or will be the Saints starting left guard. Now, of course, with this signing, what it does is it does open the Saints draft ideology up big time where they can kind of move around. Because my focal point was what positions do you still have on your team where you need a starter? You see what I'm saying? Where would you need a starter? Now we're going to talk about Brandin Cooks as well. And, and his addition to the team. But offensive line wise, that was the hole that was left. I think this fills it to a degree. And then the Saints ultimately will have to then be about the business of filling up the reserves and empowering the offensive line. I'm still not beyond looking for talented offensive linemen in the draft, but in terms, it does look good in terms of what's going on with the Saints. So we'll kind of cross into the draft talk because I know a lot of people have seen what the Saints were doing in terms of what Mickey Loomis saying he's going to attend the Miami Pro Day, that sort of thing. So it does indeed open up their philosophy in the board and they can kind of move around and go wherever they want to go. But now, signing Dillion Radunz feels like a 1-year prove-it deal with the Saints. They didn't invest years into this player, right? The particulars of the deal haven't been released, but it is said to be a 1-year deal for the Saints. So it could be a prove-it deal similar to like something we gave Willie Gay. If he steps up and shows that he's competent, then we can be able to issue out a multi-year deal, something like what happened with Chase Young. But like I said, I think it's an improvement getting Dillion Radunz here. Now, like I said, I watched his tape. He's a very good player. He does have some stuff he had to work on, but I would consider Radunz a upgrade over a Lucas Patrick or a Nick Saldiveri, who these guys can't even stay healthy. So upgrade right there. So let me give you guys a little bit of the depth chart right here to kind of accentuate my point about what I'm looking at in terms of the Saints offense. Getting him here, I consider him a left guard there in the starter. And like I said, when we start getting close into next month's draft, you can start looking at and talk about, hey, man, what we need to do in terms of who we need to draft. And the Saints have a lot of room to move around and do pretty much whatever they want, if you think about it, family, in the draft by appeasing several moves. Now, of course, it could be anybody. They could still take an offensive lineman. They can go and get a wide receiver, whoever makes sense to them. They can take a quarterback. They might go up and get a quarterback. That might be what's appeasing. And a lot of people are saying this behind the scenes and have said this as we get closer and closer to the NFL draft. We start realizing that there might be some fire to the smoke about Kellen Moore's cool with Derek Carr, but ultimately Mickey Loomis is going to allow Kellen to get the quarterback that he wants. Is that Cam Ward? We heard what Cam Ward said about the Saints. We've seen that most of these other quarterbacks, like a Cam Ward, the Saints talked to the kid Quinn Ewers from Texas. They looking at Cam Ward, and then there was the stuff dealing with Shedeur Sanders. What if Mickey Loomis is telling him, hey, hold on, Kellen, hold on, we're gonna let you go and get him. Just let me sign Derek back, and I promise you, hold on, I'll give you your, hold on, you can have that guy. And what if it's something like that? It could be. We'll see. But anyway, I consider it an upgrade, fam. Like I said, the Saints have now signed, and this is probably the most meaningful of the free agent signings that we've had here, as far as the offense is concerned. Like, they did pick up Brandin Cooks. He's not something to look at. I just don't understand the Brandin Cooks move. We'll talk about that momentarily. I think we should have more of a compliment big wide receivers. Not saying that he's not coming, but to sign him to a 2-year deal worth $13 million or something like that. I don't understand that. I would have never bet that that the New Orleans Saints would have brought back Brandin Cooks. I would have betted that they would have brought Mike Thomas back before Brandin Cooks. But you never can tell when it comes down to the moves that one Mickey Loomis would make. But outside of the Brandin Cooks move, signing Velus Jones Jr., who they basically made into a running back, he'll operate different ways. He'll be a versatile player for them. Jack Stahl, these are mostly backup depth guys to the team, Will Clapp and players like that. But signing a player like Radunz at the guard position gives you a good guard and an upgrade there. So, and it'll definitely put Nick Saldiveri, and I think Saldiveri is coming into his 3rd year. And you had 2 years of non-productivity, can't stay healthy. At some point, you got to cut the string on some of these guys. You know what I'm saying? We trying to win some. We ain't got time for players that can't stay healthy. I'm sorry. This is the ultra competitive state of the NFL. We have to win games. Anyway, that's the call on it. Y'all let me know how y'all feel about Dillion Radunz as the guard position. I consider it an upgrade at the guard spot. I think it'll be good, and still the Saints could approach the draft at looking at adding a player, another offensive lineman or 2 in the draft. They got a ton of picks. They can make trades, move around. They got a lot of latitude the Saints can operate with. And besides, when you talk about some of the guys that they're looking at in the draft, Connerly at Oregon State, there was a guy that they looked at, I think was his name, Ursery from Minnesota, that big offensive lineman they got out there. The Saints doing their due diligence on players right now. And of course, we know about them going to take a look at Cam Ward at the pro day, which will lead into this article next. Shout out to Saints Wire for preparing this thing. Saints sending members of the brass to Miami. I don't know why Mickey Loomis is going. According to Nick Underhill, shout out to him. And Luke Johnson clarified, including head coach Kellen Moore's plus offensive and defensive coordinators Nussmeier and Brandon Staley, among others. All 32 teams will be scouting the Hurricanes today, and several squads will have high-level executives in attendance, so this isn't too unusual. So, they're going out there to take a look at him, but he's not the only player to be looked at outside of Cam Ward. Damian Martinez is a good running back. We talked about him on the breakdown. Arroyo, who's the tight end, who has a lot of potential. He has a lot of injury issues that he's had, but he's a ton of potential, very talented. Tyler Barron also could be looked at. Xavier Restrepo, They have a phenomenal little running back down there. Like I said, Martinez is good. So there are quite a few prospects that will more than likely be there. But we all know that Cam Ward is the guy that they all are looking at. So could this be something the Saints are interested in doing and working with? Can are the Saints obviously interested in Cam Ward? But this would definitely be the draft in which the Saints would pivot to do that. And you heard what he was saying about the Saints. A lot of love from Cam Ward and the Saints. And the Saints could they take it, take this serious? You got a new head coach here who wants his own quarterback. And let me tell you something. The Saints will have to, and they have it, fam. They have the draft assets necessary to be able to build a package to offer to who they feel they need to go up to go and get them. And do they do that is the thing. Do they go after Cam Ward? Well, he tears it up, and we'll see how it all goes, man. We'll see how it all goes. But I do like Cam Ward. I think Cam Ward's special. If the Saints make a move and get Cam Ward, man, that'll be hell on Derek Carr. Let me just tell you, that'll be hell. They go and get Ward. That will be hell on Derek Carr, and he already don't want to be down here. And we be trying, and that'll be every bad play he does, it'll be hell on that guy down here, man. He already don't want to be down here. So anyway, let's keep it moving, fam. Let's go on to the next article we cover here. The Saints did sign Brandin Cooks the other day to a 2-year contract worth $13 million. And of course, there were several interviews with Brandin Cooks with New Orleans Saints that they put on the website that he's back with the team. Now, I would have never thought this, like I said in just a few moments ago about Brandin Cooks. 8 years after the Saints traded him to the Patriots, remember the ordeal was that he wanted to be the guy. And there was some friction between him and Mike Thomas, who the Saints seen as the guy. And ultimately, Cooks wanted the contract. He wanted to be deemed the guy. And a little something happened between Mike Thomas and him, back in the day, chatting at each other. Ultimately, the Saints chose Mike Thomas. It turned out to be a good proposition for about 5 or 6 years. When Mike Thomas was tearing it up, one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. His stats was off the chain. Then he got hurt and could not rehab and get healthy again. Cooks moved on and played with a ton of teams. Made a lot of money outside of here. But the Saints ultimately say, hey, man, let's bring Brandin Cooks back home. $13 million over 2 years. Saints picked him up in 2014, first round pick. And like I said, there was some stuff going on right there between them. But he was productive because he was a speedster, undersized guy, but had all the speed in the world. Could catch the ball. This type of stuff, very elusive wide receiver. Saints just packed and ship him. Now, like I said, him coming back here, I don't understand. I get it insofar as if he will be a his speed component. But the thing and this is the thing, if they see Chris Olave as the number 1 guy and Cooks as the number 2 guy, and Shaheed as the number 3 guy, then you say, okay, that's what they're doing. But I don't see, no disrespect to Chris Olave. I think Chris Olave is phenomenal, but I don't think Chris Olave is a number 1 wide receiver. I think, and what I mean is not saying that he's not talented, but I'm saying that he's better served if you have a big physical wide receiver next to him, a physical possession style wide receiver, a 6'3", 6'4" guy that he can, that you combo him with, and then keep Shaheed in the 3rd wide receiver role, the battle of the 3rd cornerback. That's what we envisioned. And you're not going crazy because you see that's what the Saints was trying to do when they got Chris Olave and they teamed him with Michael Thomas. That's what the Saints were trying to do with Chris Olave when they teamed him with Cedric Wilson Jr. That's what the Saints were thinking to do, even though Chris Olave was having injuries when they picked up MVS. They just didn't bring Scantling back. But the idea, they were there with the idea of getting a big physical wide receiver, a 6'3", 6'4" guy that plays next to Chris Olave and keeps him in the 2 role. You know, you got the possession guy and the speed guy here, and keep him in that role, and you get the direct most value out of him. Now, in spots, he could step in and play number 1 for you. I just feel like you'll get the most out of him in that role. And that is the template in which the Saints have been operating with. And now it's like, we're going to keep him at the 1. We're going to move Cooks here. We're going to do this, that, and the third. But we will see how it works. Now, listen, this could very well change because things are very fluid right now. The Saints could ultimately pivot and go to a bigger wide receiver in the draft. There's, Savion Williams in the draft. They can look at. Is the big kid, what's his name, from Stanford? I can't pronounce the man's name. Arroyo. I'm not going to even try it, man. But y'all know the big physical wide receiver from Stanford. There's several other really talented, big physical, talented wide receivers that could sit next to a Chris Olave that can help you. Of course, Ted McMillan is the best one we can come up with, but I don't believe he'll be there at the 9 spot. But I would love Ted to be that guy, you know what I'm saying? And then you'll just have all these speedy guys in Ted McMillan for Carr or whatever based on where they go. But listen, that's how I see it. And that's why my mind is tuned. And that's why your mind is tuned. It's like, Q, I don't understand this move. Because Chris Olave, no disrespect to Chris Olave. I love Chris Olave. He's a great dude and a great player for us. I just think he's better utilized in that 2 as opposed to being that 1. He needs that physical component, that big physical wide receiver next to him playing on the opposite side, and then of course Rashid Shaheed in the 3rd position. That would, to me, would be special. So that's why it don't make any sense. And of course, people are saying, "Q, what about the money?" The Saints, they're not cost conscious, obviously, right? They'll sign some of these guys, and then they'll shrink the first year of the deal or whatnot, stuff like that. So you know how the Saints play ball. Bronze, thank you for becoming
I want to say thank you very much. Picking me up, bringing me back to this world.
All right, so y'all let me know how y'all feel about the Chris Olave move. Put it in the chat. Let me know how y'all feel. I mean, not the Chris Olave move, the Brandin Cooks move. Let me know how y'all feel about that in the chat as well. Bobbin says Radunz is capable of playing every position on the line besides right guard. Yeah, that's true, bro. He did play both guard positions, and I think he played both tackle positions. So he's a guy that has incredible versatility. Plus, he has a main skill that a lot of our offensive linemen lacked last year, and that skill is the ability to be available for games. Same as we talked about guys like Devin Gocho. Same thing with him. Guys like him, they are not flashy players, but they are productive and they're available. They play when they're supposed to play, and that's all you can really ask for, right? To have these guys here. But that's just part of the Brandin Cooks philosophy. Like I said, when I seen the movie, I said, it didn't make any sense because how we see Chris Olave, not as a true 1. Now, 1 in spot when people are hurt, but not 1 you won't go all the way in like that. That's just how I see it. All right. Anyway, let's move on to the next one. The Saints did make a signing. They did re-sign Ugo Amadi to bring him in to work with Phil Galliano. Ugo played a lot of the nickel position last year for the Saints, and the Saints rewarded him by bringing him back on a 1-year deal. He comes back, and you got to kind of look at, and then the Saints add him into the nickel room, and ultimately, does he compete with a guy like Isaac Yiadom for that nickel position? Ugo Amadi, man, undersized, but I love Ugo Amadi because he might be a small player, but he got a big heart. He's a playmaker. He's always around the ball. And he went from being a special teams ace to being a solid contributor for the Saints at the nickel position, really stepped up. So and really happy about the cornerback room as it's starting to be built because I do like Alante. I do like Kool-Aid McKinstry. I respect Isaac Yiadom. He's 29 years of age, so you don't have any longevity with that. He'll come in and give you some solid reps. Ugo Amadi is a playmaker, 1-year deal cheap. Rico Payton has potential as a young DB growing, and still the Saints will add to this cornerback room in draft. as they keep their rumors circulating around that the Saints could ultimately end up picking up a cornerback of some sort. But there's several rumors circulating around right now tied to either the defensive backfield, the defensive line, and calls like that. You never can tell. Rumorville right now what's left. But the Saints, like I said, they still have quite amount of money remaining, man, to be honest with you. Over $33.7 million, which the Saints currently have in cap after restructuring everybody. The Saints basically have a lot of money and a lot of draft capital. And they got a lot of money this year because they kicked it into 2026. As you can see, you already starting out in the red for 2026. You're $6.3 million in the red for 2026. So like stuff like I was telling you about what Chanelay was saying about we're gonna be out of the cap situation in 2026. Man, you don't know your team. I thought you knew him. You work for him. We know we know who Mickey Loomis is, and he is a can kicker. This is what he does, and we'll see with this work. And like I said, man, it's all very interesting how this go. But currently, the Saints $3.7 million worth of money. They just signed Donuts. They picked up on Cooks. They bring Ugo Amadi back on a 1-year deal. How does all these moves sound to you, Mighty Who Dat Nation? Are you cool with these moves? I like Ugo. Brandin Cooks to me is a bit of a head scratcher, even though I respect his ability to play football. I still think the Saints need a big physical wide receiver option to go along with the rest of those guys, not named Cedric Wilson Jr. Somebody more talented with some speed and a higher upside. And perhaps as we start to get into focusing on the NFL draft that's ahead, maybe the Saints make some move and pivot in that direction. One can only hope, right? Anyway, let's continue to kind of look at this thing, man. Let me kind of go over set up my screen for hold on, let me show you. I thought I had it up here. The recap stream the screen rather, for all of the players that the Saints currently have picked up on. And where is it? There it is. All right, here we go. All right, so yeah, here it is right here. This is some of the stuff right here. The tracker, shout out to Saints, did this on their website as they kind of show you all the players that the Saints have picked up on so far as we do a brief recap. Pettis, we know about Pettis, wide receiver return man the Saints picked up on for a 1-year deal. Like this kid, big wide receiver with speed. Did some positive things for the Saints. We'll see if he will be have a larger role in the Saints wide receiver room. Chase Young was given his 3-year deal to come back for the Saints. And of course, the move is to put him at linebacker. Look, now him and Carl Granderson going to be playing linebacker among things. Juwan Johnson was given a 3-year contract. Of course, Juwan Johnson, a lot of people, he had 50 catches last year. A lot of people expect Juwan Johnson to step up and be a top 10, at least a top 10 tight end in the game, man. And there's no excuses. You got the money. It's time to step out and ball out and do your thing. Justin Reed was the best signing so far of the season, a 3-year deal to pair him with Tyrann Mathieu. I thought that was the best move so far in terms of the player personnel. Will Clapp was brought back to kind of play a backup center guard guy for him, a guy we drafted. He's back. Jack Stahl is pretty much a backup tight end with some blocking application. You can kind of move him around to do blocking, but that's basically what he is. He also has a decent pair of hands with him. He's not just a guy known to block. He actually can catch. If you go watch some of the footage on Jack Stahl, that's a pretty decent pair of hands on. He's not very fast, but he's actually a pretty decent catcher of the ball. Isaac Yiadom. We're familiar with Isaac Yiadom. His maturation here in the Who Dat Nation, coming back on a contract to kind of help out the depth situation. He left off and went to the Niners and ultimately he's back. So that was a very interesting signing. Velus Jones Jr., who's a former wide receiver out of Tennessee. Saints are reporting that he's going to be a running back in the running back room. This guy has good speed to him, 6 feet, about 200 some odd pounds. Has dual application that he could be moved around in the Saints either running back room or wide receiver room. He does add some versatility there. So giving them back there. Jonah Williams was a Brandon Staley hire. He signed a deal to come back on a 1-year, signed a 1-year deal with the Saints to help out. And Staley likes him and thinks he can help out. Now, if you watch the tape on Jonah Williams, big physical defensive lineman, not super fast, but has a rock solid wheel. a fighter, that type of dude that can a mean lineman there that kind of could step up and do some stuff for you in a reserve capacity. And of course, with Tanu Passanyo gone, and somebody has to step into that role as a backup defensive lineman to kind of help out. And remember, with the Saints operating the 34 look, Williams is going to be called upon possibly to be that backup defensive end. And we'll see what happens with this look. Very interesting. Landon Young was re-signed on a 1-year deal. Of course, Landon Young last year with the Saints was the end of his rookie contract. Didn't like how Landon Young ended. He spent his entire career here with the Saints, and last year he did not step up. He did not mature to what we thought he was supposed to be. Kind of fell off. Saints reaching back to him to bring him back to the team. We'll see how it all goes, because it could have been the fact that he had a shitty offensive line coach. You never know with some of these players. They respond differently to coaches. All coaches are created differently. So perhaps a new offensive line coach can light a fire under Landon Young and turn him into something. And of course, we talked about Brandin Cooks back on a 2-year deal with the New Orleans Saints. He was a guy the Saints drafted in 2014, 20th overall. He was sent out of here in favor of keeping Michael Thomas. He's back to pair with Chris Olave. He can catch the ball. He still has some speed there as well. So Chris Olave, Cooks, and Rashid Shaheed does have the stretch the field option. Just need a bigger physical wide receiver to help out. Perhaps that's in the draft. Ugo Amadi, 1-year deal. We just talked about Ugo and his contributions at the nickel position. That helps out the Saints secondary to have a playmaker like Ugo Amadi there. And of course, as you know, when the Saints move into that 34 defense, they'll have that companion look of the 34 defense. When they do that modified defense, they'll have, the 3-3-5, where you'll have all those defensive backs on there, and Ugo Amadi might be one of those guys there. So there'll be a fight for the nickel position. We'll see exactly how they make it, because they might I think there'll still be some improvement here, right, to the Saints secondary. I still say the Saints are going to add some more people here. And then to just pause for that and talk about what the Saints have added on defense. Saints have had a lot of moves defensively. They really have, family. The trade to get Gocho from the Patriots. Picking up and signing, like we talked about, what's his name? Jonah Williams. The lineman Jonah Williams, who they could possibly see him as a defensive end. Some people say he has application at the linebacker level. We'll see how it all works. The re-signing, adding those guys to the defense, then adding and bringing in guys like Justin Reed to the secondary. Isaac Yiadom, bringing him back to help out. But they tried to get Ward. They couldn't get Travarius Ward, so they ended up getting Isaac Yiadom, bringing Ugo Amadi back. So the Saints have been adding pieces to the defense at different levels. Not so much on the linebacker level, because the Saints are, they shift in that philosophy now where you see the defensive end slide to the linebacker level, like Granderson, Chase Young, and Isaiah Foskey. Those guys are being anticipated playing at the linebacker level, and they have the athleticism to perhaps do that. I think it's very interesting to see that. But the defense, a lot of movement there. Obviously, when you have a schematic change from a 43 defense to a 34 defense, people move around, things get a little strange, if you know what I mean. But also having Ugo Amadi back, he's a really good special teams option for Phil Galliano, our special teams coach. So that's very positive. And of course, the signing of Dillion Radunz to come in, I anticipate him to be the starting guard there next to Tali Fuaga. So that's going to be a very positive thing. And this is a young player, man. Like I said, he's still very young. Saints gave him basically a one-year prove-it deal. So they're not handing the keys to the bus. And if he performs, perhaps the Saints then say, hey, man, we want to give you an offer there. So these are the guys right now for the Saints. So Saints doing some stuff. And like I said, with some of these moves, and there's still plenty of time for the Saints to keep this thing moving. A lot of other stuff can happen and go on between now and then. Of course, we talked about them with the meeting with, going to see Cam Ward and those people. There are other pro days out there the Saints are going to send people to do some investigative work with. And at the end of the day, you could just look at and see that ultimately what the Saints are going to do, man, you might, it's so many different places here, and then, like I said, I won't rule out anything based on the fact that they've reworked all these contracts, freed up all this money. They have several draft picks they can move around and do whatever. So they got a lot of picks, a lot of money right now. And there's a lot of options currently for the Saints right now. So they can go in all kind of ways. Let's go over this article right here, fam, that was released. When was this released? I think it was not too long ago, man. Matter of fact, a couple hours ago. Cam Ward throws at Pro Day should be all Titans need to see. All right. Cam Ward believes he solidified himself as the top overall pick in next month's NFL draft. He said on Monday's Pro Day, Heisman Trophy finalists worked out in front of more than 90 NFL team staffers, including a full contingent from the Titans, who honed the number one pick. So the Saints would have to, and there's a draft pick formula that is out there if you want to move up to it. Let me see if I can pull that up. The formula, because they decided on this some time ago. Oh, just a second. Let's see if I can show it to you guys. It's the NFL trade value chart, as they call it. I got to see if I can find one that's clear enough where you can see, because they operated in terms of, hold on, let me see if I can find that. Because there's a formula that they use to determine how you would get a first round draft pick, how many draft picks you would give up to move there. I'm not going to be able to find out, do a little research on that. I thought I had one dialed up right there, but it looked like I don't. But I'll revisit this in another stream, fam. I'll revisit this in another stream. All right, but anyway, to keep the show moving, let's go back to this article right here, because like the Tennessee Titans, they talked about him they're looking at a quarterback. They're very interested in him. And this is what they had to say. Heisman Trophy finalists worked out in front of the people. He says, the gist of the message is, I'll see you next month. He says, I solidified it today. They finally got to see me throw in person. That should be all they need to see. But at the end of the day, I'm going to be happy. Wherever team I go to, I'm just trying to play football. Ward set multiple school records in his lone season with the Hurricanes in 2024, including single season records for passing, completions, passing touchdowns, completion percentage. In his final collegiate game, he became the all-time FCS and FBS combined leader in passing touchdowns with 158 touchdowns. A former zero-star recruit out of West Columbia, Texas, enrolled at Incarnate Word in 2020 and threw for almost over 6,900 yards, 71 touchdowns in just 19 games. He transferred to Washington State before the 2020 season, threw for almost 7,000 yards and 48 touchdowns against 16 interceptions in 2 seasons before going to Miami. Man, been doing it. He said he believed he could be the top pick in the draft while at Incarnate Word, but he knew he could prove it beyond the FCS level, hence his transfers to Washington State and Miami. I think all I needed was a chance to play quarterback. He said, play in a quarterback-driven system, he said. So there you go. So Cam Ward, man, he's definitely a talented quarterback. The Titans did draft Kentucky quarterback Will Levis in the second round back in 2023, but he has completed just 61% of his passes over 2 seasons. For just almost 3,900 yards for 21 touchdowns and 16 interceptions. That ain't gonna cut it. Levis was benched in favor of Mason Rudolph late in the 2024 season. The Titans then struggled to a 3-14 record. Ward insisted he would be happy to play for any team, and he was excited about the possibility of working with Titans coach Brian Callahan, who spent 5 seasons as the Bengals offensive coordinator. So you go right there. So April the 24th and 26th is the draft, late April. So there you go right there. Do you guys think the Titans will give up that pick for Cam Ward? Now, this could all change based on, let me see if I can pull up the list of pro days so we can get it done. Do you guys think that, hold on now. This is going to be very interesting, to be honest with you, fam. Because the whole thing with Cam Ward is, and listen, I like Cam Ward a lot. I've been aware of Cam Ward for more than 2 years now. And the way I see it is quite simply is wait to Deion Sanders' son, because Deion Sanders' son has always Shador Sanders has been in many assessments have been ahead of Cam Ward. And he's consistently been ahead of Cam Ward, maybe not by far, like super far ahead of Cam Ward, but a lot of people still like Shador. And I know disrespect to Cam Ward. I think Cam Ward will be a phenomenal quarterback. I think the Titans, if they want a QB at that pick, probably Cam Ward's the guy. He's a guy that can throw the ball around. He's not just throw the ball, but he's really intelligent. He can make every throw. He got good size to him. He can move. He slides. He's really intelligent. He's decisive. That's the thing I really like about Cam Ward's game. Shador has more of a smoothness to it, like a naturalness to it. Like he has those NFL Hall of Fame ties, like with Deion Sanders, who it didn't work for Shiloh, obviously, but but for Shador, he's the star of the group. But wait till you see his pro day. He ain't nothing to sneeze at either. So it'll be between these two men to decide on where they go. But I like Cam Ward a lot. If Tennessee Titans need a quarterback, and they really do, then they can't do. Cam Ward would definitely electrify the Tennessee Titans supporter base. He really would. He would light their asses up in a good way. All right. So anyway, man, let me see if I can find some of these other pro days to talk about, family, because quite a few of them already have happened. And we kind of see right here. Here's a list of some of them already. And of course, March the 24th. You have Auburn, Boston College, Bowling Green, East Carolina, Iowa, Marshall, Miami, North Carolina, Northern Iowa, SMU, Toledo, UNLV, and UTSA's pro days, March the 24th. Now, the 25th, Louisville, Nebraska, North Carolina State, Texas, Tulane is tomorrow. So Tulane, you'll be able to see some of their guys there. UConn, Texas will be interested to see what they got. And then, of course, on the 26th, LSU's pro day will be there. Ohio State, Pitt, Virginia Tech, Western Kentucky. And then you go down the list. March 27th, Florida, Notre Dame, Texas A&M. March the 28th, you'll see Jackson State, Maryland, Mississippi, Penn State, and then, of course, Sacramento State, and then Nevada in April the 1st. So a lot of pro days already have happened. And like I said, Tulane's tomorrow, LSU's the next day after that are pro days. A lot of people, and you can see a lot of pro days have happened prior. Alabama, we already know about their pro day and all these other guys' pro days. So we're getting close, late April, getting these pro days out of the way. So still a lot to look at here to see. So we'll see. So like you talk about Shador and what he can do in his and all this kind of stuff. Like I said, man, it's very interesting. And we're just going to keep an eye on all of this stuff, man. But like they said, the Saints were in attendance to watch this man throw the ball. I don't know if I really don't think Miami moves that first round pick. I think Miami's going to stay pat with that pick. They need a quarterback to run Callahan's system. And Cam Ward he would be spot on, man. But when they can have a quick turnaround, to be honest with you, they can turn around because Tennessee's always been a respectable team, man. They just need to get leadership there. Not having a quarterback, let me tell you, fam, y'all already know how that ends up. That can end up really bad. Like it ended up for us over the last several years. All right, fam, let's get ready to kind of dart. Let me say some shout out to the fam, man, for doing this thing, man. Shout out to you, Bronze. Appreciate you, bro, as well, for being a member of the stream. If y'all have any questions, please feel free to throw them in the chat. Muse says, Q, can we please get more kings and queens to the show? Yes, right. Can we get more kings and queens to show Big Q some love? Yes, come on, baby. Hit the like button, please. All right. Thank you, Muse, baby. Appreciate you always representing. Much love. What's up, brother Marcus? How you doing, sir? Appreciate you. He also believes that Brandin Cooks is a waste of money. Well, I mean, we're not done yet. Like I said, I'm surprised by that because I thought Keenan Allen makes more sense for the Saints. Like, right. I think his estimated money is like $11 million a year or something like that. But the Saints ain't care about that. They don't care about that. They don't care about that kind of money. But, like I said, man, I thought he would probably be a guy that Kellen Moore, because he worked with him before, would add him to he would be a really good addition to help out the Saints. Wide receiver, I thought he would be a respectable option outside of Chris Olave, but perhaps the Saints are willing to pick up some young wide out in the draft. I don't know. Yeah, but the Cooks that came out of left field on us. What's up, Rochelle? Shout out to Rochelle. Appreciate you for being in the stream. Much love. All right. Jones Jr. said, let's make Taysom Hill, T. Hill, a wide receiver this year. Let's just try it. Indeed. That's a lot of people we've not talked about Taysom Hill, right? That's very unique, right? We have Taysom here. Taysom is a playmaker. If he's healthy, when he becomes healthy again, perhaps he could be a guy. We use him all over the field. Whether he was a running back, we use him as I wonder in Kellen Moore's system, will we use Taysom Hill as a running quarterback type dude? I hope we get away from that, because I think it kind of messes up the rhythm of your quarterback in there. You mixing, you changing out guys and stuff like that. And then you're not using the Taysom Hill, like he's not even throwing the ball. I mean, so I just think it's just a waste, and it just makes your offense incredibly easy to read. It makes it, when you see Taysom Hill coming in the game, he about to run the ball. They crowd up to the line. Now, granted, for Taysom Hill, he still averages 4 to 5 yards of run, despite the fact that they're crowding the line. But as he gets old, he's taking a lot of pain he shouldn't be taking. And I just thought last year with that bland ass Clint Kubiak, he just overused Taysom because he got lazy. He didn't want to use the rest of these guys around Taysom Hill. And I just thought that was an incredibly lazy usage of Taysom Hill, and ultimately led to him getting hurt because he was overusing them. And they were telling them that, and he still kept doing it. And I'm glad he's gone. We don't need dumb coaches like that, fam. We need people that's imaginative, that can be able to get the best usage out of these players. We don't need somebody stupid and blind that don't know how to use these players. It's just going to run them into the ground. All right. Big ups to the rest of y'all, man. Any questions? We're going to get ready to dirk out as well. All right, Muse says, do you think we'll get some new blood for the offensive line? Q, yeah, Runnits. I'm sorry, what other man is Dylan? I call him Radunz. Radunz, Radunz, is a decent offensive lineman. And like I said, I consider the man an upgrade over what we had. And remember, Lucas Patrick signed with the Cincinnati Bengals. Good riddance, man. He was meant to be a backup. That's all he was supposed to be. The guy's not a starter. Only if your guy gets hurt. He comes in there and play a few games and take his ass back to the bench. But he's not a starter, man. That's why his body kept breaking down last year. He kept getting hurt. When offensive linemen do that, fam, y'all got to notice that. And you got to look at putting people and drafting people. Like I said, I'm putting McCoy on that list. I heard somebody say that McCoy is not what they called it, perpetually. I'm thinking, lack of better words, what the guy was saying, not verbatim what he was saying, but basically in the mindset of that he's not a guy that's consistently hurt. Like hell, he's not. You had it happen last year, and guys' bodies break down. It's a physical game. You got to make sure you have guys to replace these guys. It's about time for us to find a center. How long has McCoy been here? McCoy been on this. He's on his second contract. We damn sure need to be looking at other people. We can't, like I said, man, what happened last year under dumb Dennis Allen at Possum, we can't allow that to happen this year. Like we got a center that important that when he went down, the whole offensive system was like in peril. How did that happen? We supposed to be somebody prepared. We supposed to have a backup offensive lineman ready to go if a guy goes down, just like if you tackle or you guard or, that wasn't even the case. They had to shift guys around, and you're never supposed to do that like that. If you got one guy hurt, you're supposed to replace the one guy with one guy. You're not supposed to shift everything. You're trying to minimize movement as much as you can, because when guys get hurt, it breaks the rhythm or the synergy or the chemistry of the offensive line. It breaks it. So when you seen last year, fam, listen, like I said this before, when you study the film, they had guys like teams last year doing this to the Saints at the end of the year, where they knew the Saints offensive line was disjointed and didn't have any chemistry, didn't communicate or who they were going to block. And they would purposefully pay attention to the Saints snap. And right before they timed the Saints snap, and would shift their line right before the Saints snap. And when that happened, the Saints offensive linemen didn't know who to block, and those guys would get through there, chase the quarterback around and knock him down. They were purposefully timing the Saints and testing the Saints' chemistry and communication, and the Saints failed repetitively. They were not communicating, hey, man, you got that guy, you got this guy. They were shifting, and the dumb coaches were standing up there watching the game. I was like, how they not doing anything about it? Consistently doing it. And I called it out like, man, how these coaches not making these adjustments? That's why they gone. Bobbins, what's up, Bob? Says Q, I was saying Terrence Ferguson, the tight end out of Oregon, 6'5", 225, draft him and transition him to a XY receiver. I mean, they got quite a few guys that you can do that with, bro. Ferguson, I'll look him up and see what you're talking about, bro. I got a ton of tape to watch. KT sent me like a bunch of, I got like another 10 to 15 people I got to look at before the draft. KT sending them on in, bro. Shout out to my dog, KT. I got a lot of work to do. KT be sending them. He like, Q, look at this guy. Q, look. KT gonna make me be one of the best scouts around, messing around with KT, man. He be sending all them people at me. All right, thank you, Bob. And Slim said didn't like it. We still need that big physical receiver that's been missing since Mike Thomas. Indeed, bro. That's what a lot of people are on. Thank y'all. All right, anyway, what's up, English? Shout out to you, fam. Appreciate you as well. Much loved. Appreciate you, my friend, as well. Also says Cooks will prove to be wasted money. Seems like every other signing is done based on potential business. I'm gonna get an Oshina banner and put it behind me, fam. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna start doing broadcasts with an Oshina banner. They're like, what the hell wrong with you? I signed with Oshina, baby. Let me tell you something, baby. Signed with Oshina. Put an Oshina banner back here. And when the Saints lose, or the Pelicans lose, I'm gonna just point to the banner back there. I'll point to the damn banner behind me. That's what I'm gonna do. I ain't paying for it. I'm gonna just go rip one down. I might just go over there. It's about 7. It's probably like a dozen of them in the trash can somewhere. You never. Just point to the banner. Why we lose, Q? Yeah, I want to point to Ajna. It ain't, Burr. Listen, man. It's just not a good deal for the New Orleans Saints or the Pelicans. What Ajna been doing, man. But it ain't about that. All right, 504 says Q. I'm hearing that they're really, really in love with Cam Ward. Do you think we mortgage the future to move up? They saying the package would include Chris Olave first and second. I definitely think they will give up Chris Olave and picks to go and get Cam Ward, no doubt about it. Because Chris Olave's contract is coming up soon. The Saints have some decisions to make on Chris Olave, and then there's word on the streets Chris Olave wasn't really happy about what happened last year. You remember Chris Olave was never a player that had any problems at all in his career when he was at Ohio State or any part of the New Orleans Saints until, what was it, last year? I forgot when it was. The year, or was it a year before? It was a year before last year. I think it was Derek Carr's first year here. And he got caught racing his car and got put in jail. Y'all remember that? And I was like, what's going on here? Chris Olave don't do that. Chris Olave don't do that. And then the thing is, I thought, where are the guys at with the mental health people at? I thought that was supposed to be an NFL thing that they pay attention to. Mental health. I thought that the people full of it, man. They got all of these resources. You mean to tell me you got stressed out players doing that? Nobody even talking to these people. They can't go and see somebody. And it was frustrating because when Dennis Allen was there, good sense left the building. You had a dumb general manager, VP, the guy does not talk to those players. He don't talk to them. Even the reporters said it. Kat Terrell said it. Other people said she said it in the interview with Mickey Loomis listening. Says, Mickey, you usually don't talk to the players. What made you want to give a end of the season speech to them? And he was like, well, we got to let people know, Like, what you mean let people know? You're the problem. So he don't talk to the players. So how you a general manager? You don't even talk to the players. Answer that for me. So it's like, it's laughable. You got to be, if you're a general manager, if you're a good general manager, you have the temperature of your team. You ironing out wrinkles. If there's something happening between players and players, or coaches and players, your door is always open. If there's disharmony, I'm going to make sure I, get that out of my building, because I know if that happens, it could destroy the team. I'm constantly evaluating my players and my coaches. Anybody that is perceived to be under my control as a general manager, I'm involved in evaluations. I'm letting them know of timelines of what you got to do and where we expect you to be. You get what I'm saying? I'm not creating this fluffy unicorn world where I just have this silly, crazy, irresponsible belief in somebody, and they're not showing any results, and all they're doing is making a ton of excuses. I don't have time to sit up here and tell y'all year after year injuries happening to the team, and I'm not doing anything within my power to promote to the owner, the clueless owner, or the dumbass, what's his name, VP that looks like the Toy Story guy, or look like Ted Bundy, the president of the team, Lauscher, him, about, hey man, listen, we need to go and hire the best doctors we could find and bring them in here. The best soft tissue expert we can find and bring them in here. The best bone doctor, whatever the case, whatever you need, you're having issues with. The best preventative person, injury person that we can find and bring them in here. Hiring more of this, and just doing that type of stuff. Not sitting up here just saying, well, injuries hurt everybody. I don't want to hear that, because that's radically becoming a excuse year after year to justify failure, but yet taking money from you. Year after year. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of the excuses. I'm not going to allow you to keep using excuses on why this team can't win games, why they can't participate in the playoffs. I will not do it. I'm not doing it anymore. Every team deals with injuries. Every team. And if your team is getting hit with injuries, more injuries than any other team every year, radically or more than them, then you're doing something wrong. You need to be investigating the team that is not having those type of injuries. What are they doing? Because I'm telling you, for every problem, there is a solution. You're not at this invisible injury monster's mercy. You're not. You have money, you have resources. This team is worth over $5-6 billion. This woman's sitting up here, the richest person in the state. You can't hire. I would have the meanest team of doctors I could find. Because you're just going, and they're so blind. They don't understand if they spend that little bit of money to get these doctors, the team, it will cut down on the injuries. The team will win more, which would then make them make more money. They're so short-sighted and greedy. It's ridiculous. They're so greedy. They're so greedy and Luciferian. It's unbelievable. All right. Anyway, man, let's keep it moving, man. Big ups to y'all guys. All right. Bobbin says, I watched a little film on Radunz. He says inside and outside zone run blocker. Yep. Left guard position. Didn't see much of a pass protection at the left guard position. Yeah, I agree. He's more like I wouldn't consider him a balanced player. I could see his strength is more on the run side. You can see it really on the run side. He needs a little help, footwork, a little something. But like I said, it depends. Like you have really good offensive line coach can get him to the next level of development. We need the same thing with Cesar Ruiz. We need that with Cesar Ruiz. Cesar Ruiz, rightfully, and I've said this before, should be the best offensive lineman we have right now. He should be better than McCoy. And I know that's sounding a lot, but Ruiz has had nothing but time to develop. He's played all the reps that you would want to have, and he should be a lot better than what he is. I keep saying it over and over again. He should be a hell of a lot better than what he is. Way better. He's not even in the consideration for being I guess I can say Pro Bowl, because they just hand him out. Hell, they gave a Pro Bowl. And I'm like, what the hell that guy doing with a Pro Bowl? Who they gave a Pro Bowl to? Yeah, it's McCoy. They gave Eric McCoy a Pro Bowl. And I'm like, what? How did they give Eric McCoy a Pro Bowl? And he dominated in 2 games last year, missed half the season. And when he came back, he was not nearly half as what he was. But yeah, we're going to give him out. I'm like, you know what? Second thought, Pro Bowls ain't nothing, man. They gave McCoy a Pro Bowl. And I'm like, man, You didn't earn that. You did not earn that Pro Bowl. You were not good last year, except for the first 2 games of the year. Them games after that, you were not that good. I watched the film over and over again. You weren't that good. So yeah, I hear you, brother. He said Carr is still a problem. Officer 5000 Matabar says Carr still the problem. Yeah, Carr doesn't want to be here, fam. What do y'all think about it? That's what I'm saying. It's this fascination with Cam Ward driven by the dysfunction from Derek Carr. We haven't heard from Derek Carr. He reworked his contract. You haven't heard anything from Derek Carr. You haven't seen Derek Carr. And all the rumors we've heard, and those rumors were true, that he was trying to get out of here. He was trying to get the Who Dat Nation does not like Derek Carr. And it's not because he's they shoot Derek Carr is such a cool dude. I have nothing to do with Carr off the field. It's off the field. It's his on-field antics that make him unlikable. I have explained this all the time to these Carr lovers, but you got to understand, man, the stuff he did with Chris Olave, the stuff he did with McCoy, the excuses that he makes, he lies during pressers, he talks too much and doesn't perform enough, and $150 million for what is it? A couple of wins over 500 from him is not going to cut it. Of course you're going to get lambasted. Of course you're going to get cut down. Of course you're going to get hit upside your head with all kind of stuff because you're not performing. Not for $150 million for this guy, and this is the best we can know for a captain check down. Dude checking the ball. No. He was trying to get out of here, and Loomis kept him here. So I don't understand that. But once again, that guy lacks a lot of imagination. He really does. I just wish he would just go away. Brian says, secure, common sense and Mickey Loomis doesn't mix with. The dude is operating out of, he don't govern himself out of logic. It's ignorance, arrogance, and this weird elitist mentality that he has. Like I got the grand plan. Oh, hold on, buddy. Let me tell you something, bucko. I got the grand plan over here, baby. Hold on now. I have $30 million, $30+ million in money. I got a treasure trove of draft picks, baby. Hold on now. You guys don't understand the plan. I know what I'm doing, and you're going to see. Hold on. You guys are going to see. I'm the man, baby. Baby, I'm the man. And then that's what he got. And I'm like, no. Hold on, baby. I'm the man. Hold on. Y'all gonna be calling for me, baby. Let me tell you. Oh, no, we not. No, we won't. Corvatus says Cooks was nothing but another Jimmy Graham nostalgia signing. Loomis trying to pull the family base in with a relic from the past. Cooks does the same thing as Shaheed. Jack says moving up to get Cam will be the most saint thing to do, in a team around him will still be a dumpster fire. If they get Cam Ward, they have to give up something besides draft capital. Giving up Chris Olave, and you give up a first and second pick, and I don't think it's just one. You're going to have to give up 2 ones, if I'm not mistaken, according to the formula. Y'all who are familiar with it, refresh my memory, because I think to move up that high, you're going up to number 1 because the number 1 team wants Cam Ward. But if the Saints might just say, you know what, we like Cam, but we're not giving all that up. When we just move, if they want a quarterback that bad, they just go get Deion's son, right? Right? And the Giants is looking at Deion's son. I know they got Jameis out there, but they still need a bridge. Jameis is a bridge at this point. So you just draft Sedor or whatever. The Giants looking at Sanders. They like Sanders. Plus Deion likes the Giants market. He'll be a star in New York. So if you can't get one, would you pivot to the other if it's too much? But they just sit back there and just go get Dart, because there is a lot of word on the street about the Saints, how they like Jackson Dart. So it just all depends. Now Cam Ward's really phenomenal, but you got to give up 2 ones and the 2 and perhaps a player to go and get them. They might not want to do that, but then again, you never know when it comes down to the Saints, right? So thank you, Jack. Appreciate you, brother. He says Mickey doesn't talk to players because nobody wants. That's right, bro. Just listen to the interview. Dude is a gaslighting master. Yeah, Mickey Loomis is. I just want him to go away, fam. Does somebody summon a portal somewhere and push Mickey into it for me? All right, Brandon. What's up, Brandon? Shout out to you, fam. Appreciate you as well. All right. Backwards says package car to the Titan. They'll never take that, bro. They wouldn't take that. I would do that in a New York second. I would definitely package them and send them on up out of here. All right. Maul says Mickey is dumb. What's up, Leroy? It says Eagle and his clamp. That's right. That's right, fam. Oh, hold on now. God damn it. You can't talk about my clam chowder now. Hold on now. You can talk about me. You can call me Mickey Mouse Loomis. I've been called that since I was in kindergarten, baby. You know, hold on now. My skin has gotten soft. They used to call me Mickey Mouse Loomis. You know, hold on. You know, and it used to make me cry. You know, I'm old now, so I don't care anymore. Just give me my clam chowder and gourmet orange juice. You know, hold on. Yeah, Mickey is governing out of it. Just it's not logic here. It doesn't make any sense to do some of these things. I don't get it. But when you got Mickey Loomis sitting up there, anything is possible, bro. Everybody knows that's the crazy part. Everybody knows he's the problem. $30 million. Say, hey Q, hey man, it's looking good, Q. Hey man, we got a treasure trove of draft picks. Man, we got $30 million. And I say, fam, look at 2026. You're already in the red. Almost $7 million so far. And the thing is, in 2026, nobody cares because in 2027, all that then moves from 25 to 26 and from 26 into 27. And 27 will be the year where you're supposed to get over $200 million back in salary relief. So that's why Loomis is kicking the can for the next 2 years again, as opposed to doing some real work. Now, the answer is, as he gets older in 2 years, does he leave? Does he get away from the job? That's the thing I don't know. That's what I'm hoping for. Is he just goes somewhere? Just leave. Just leave, like Jerry. It's almost like the cowboy people with Jerry Jones. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people, I seen the guy online who was calling for Jerry Jones to transition. That's pretty bad. You won't hear me saying that, man. The guy was basically calling for Jerry Jones to transition, family. And I'm talking about into the afterlife. That's what the guy was calling for. He just wanted him to go. He literally said to that guy, I was like, what? I had to hit that word. The rest of it going,
what? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
He said that. I'm like, bro, I'm not going that far. I ain't asking for Mickey Loomis to transition into the afterlife. I just want him to leave and to give somebody else the damn job. You heard me? All right, Bike Life. What's up, fam? Says cars, he gets scared and he wears mascara. He do, man. I didn't know it. I was fighting for car. I was like, man, that man don't wear no mascara, man. What y'all talking about, baby? He don't wear mascara. And then there was somebody sent me something. I was like, he had mascara on. It was a picture that he was taking, and the person was trying to blow it, bring his eyes out because he got blue eyes or whatever it is, or gray eyes or whatever it is, and they put mascara on him to bring his eyes out for the picture, for the football picture. I thought it was joking at first, and then somebody sent me the picture. I said, "Well, goddamn." Well, hold on now. And I had to laugh at that one, fam. I had to hit the button on that one. But yeah, you're right, bro. He does get scared. He probably the scariest $100 million quarterback in the NFL currently. He probably is, fam. He probably is. He is very. Remember that Kansas City game, fam? That was, if y'all need, like, if you got to go, y'all, I like detective shows. I've been recently watching a lot of old Perry Mason episodes, and I'm sitting there, in my mind nowadays, it's like, how you got all the Marvel movies and everybody got a special ability. And I'm sitting up there looking at Perry Mason, And I said, man, you know what? Perry Mason might be a mutant. He might have the deductive ability because he be knowing too much shit. How you figure this stuff out? And then and then it's funny because the murderers end up confessing on the stand. I say, where they do that at? I mean, they literally, he get up there and I was like, how you knew to say that? Then they kind of break it down at the end of the show. I was like, it's pretty okay. I got it. Okay. How you did that? But then he kind of dropped some game on his deductive ability. He says he just be mining. Like when he on the stand, he be mining for information and whatever don't make sense, then he puts it together. I was like, okay, I get that. That's a technique that you can kind of take. The more you dig, the more information you get, the closer you get to the answer, right? I get that. But that's how I kind of look at, I'm starting to start looking at this Saint stuff with. But then again, you dig and you dig and you get to a point and then you realize the guy that's making the decisions ain't using logic. He just got his own little way of thinking about everything. And I that's pretty much what it is. I don't know. Thank you, Claude. Appreciate you, man, for becoming a member. Thank you, brother.
Thank you very much. Picking me up, bringing me back to this world.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate that, man. Appreciate y'all with all of the super chats and much love to y'all, man, on this thing. Here we go.
Stay cool. Nobody gets hurt. Take the money out. All of it. Come on. Wasting my time now. Come on. Come on. Stop stalling.
All right, because he got a clown. Yeah, I just see that. He got Dirty D says Loomis is trying to be like Jerry Jones, building a mediocre team on purpose. Well, my goodness, that'll get you hurt down here, Playboy. All right, DJ D Smooth, what's up, bro? Says Q man, stop stressing over Mickey, bro. I'm not, brother. I'm up here having fun, bro. You're not going nowhere until you go somewhere. He ain't going nowhere until he goes somewhere. Oh, my bad. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? He go up to go down. That's what he gonna go. Oh my goodness. Oh, hold on now. I ain't going to hell. Hold on now. All right. Big ups to y'all, man. Appreciate y'all, man. What's up, T Dirty? Shout out to my brother T Dirty. Colorado, how you doing, fam? Appreciate you too. Hope you had a great day. My day was pretty good. It was busy as hell, but in the end, it was still all good, baby. Appreciate you asking. Much love. Marley Mall says, Q, I think Ewers is the Saints' best option. He ain't a bad quarterback, bro. I watched him play at Texas. He's a good quarterback. He kept Arch on the bench. A lot of people don't talk about that. The last couple of years was him keeping, or he was so good, he kept Arch on the bench, despite the fact there was pressure to put Arch Manning in the game, to put him in there. He kept him on the bench. And like I said, they look past him because he don't have the star persona, but he's a solid quarterback. He's smart. He about 6'2". His arm is decent. He don't have a big arm, but he got enough to push the ball. He's smart. He's tough. And he wouldn't be a bad pickup selection for you later on in the draft, like maybe a day 2 draft pick or something like that. But I don't see him as a bad option. But I think the hierarchy of these young quarterbacks go as it stands right now until it changes. Was obviously you see Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders, and then the third option is Jackson Dart out of Ole Miss. A lot of people like him. They believe that he's good enough to be a day one selection. Late day one selection. They always have one of those quarterbacks to sneak up there. Definitely a second round choice for a team because of his accuracy, his athletic ability. He's a dual threat guy. There's a premium on those guys, a dual threat guy, that can throw and move. And Jackson Dart does have a good degree of accuracy. He has good leadership ability. He becomes a bit of a gunslinger at times. He does have an athletic component to him that he become very fast and elusive, but he can lower his shoulder down on you as well to pick up tough yardage. So, like I said, Jackson Dart is a guy that a lot of people looking at, and there was some stuff about the Saints looking at Jackson Dart. So if you can't get a Sanders or Cam Ward, because I don't think Titans get up off him. And I think the Giants end up with Shedeur and that would put pretty much Jackson Dart would be available for you at the 9th spot. So, and if you chose to go in a different direction from that, because somebody else might have fallen to you, that's might be a little bit more important to you, like a Ted McMillan or something like that, then you can kind of pivot in the 2nd round and pick up a Jackson Dart, because I think he'll be there if he's not selected in a late 1st round, or a Quinn Ewers will probably be a 3rd or 4th round selection. And they got a couple other guys out there that's pretty good. Where does Jalen Milroe? I think he's another guy that goes probably somewhere in the 4th round, somewhere maybe late 3rd, 4th round, somewhere in there. Milroe's because not developed as a like a passer, but more of a. I mean, he's had games where he was throwing the ball, and but his athleticism, man, is like off the chain, man. So I don't know if they'll be trying to talk him into doing something else on Sunday, but there are the quarterbacks like one of my favorite QBs in college who's going to be in the draft is McCord out of Syracuse. I think he's a tall quarterback that could throw the ball, got good accuracy, could slide in the pocket, very intelligent, not athletic at all, but a guy that could pile up a ton of yardage for you. Like I said, he led college in passing last year, McCord from Syracuse. Another quarterback that's looked past, but actually is a pretty decent quarterback is Ohio State's Will Howard. He's another dude that is pretty good. Big, tall quarterback, strong arm, played in a really good system. Ohio State won the championship this past year. He was a quarterback. They had a ton of talent like they always do. One of my favorite players is Judkins, the running back, and Henderson, who's a complement back. Those are good guys. So it's a ton of guys that's on that squad. TJ, the defensive end, and what's the other kid? JT, the defensive end, and the other defensive, a bunch of players on the Ohio State, but Will Howard's under the radar quarterback. The little quarterback, Dillon from Oregon State, undersized, but the guy had 5 years worth of college experience, a ton of yards. He's a really solid quarterback, but he's like 5'9" or something like that. He's an undersized quarterback, but the dude moves around. He make plays for you. He's just not the prototypical size quarterback you want. I wonder where he will go in the draft. I don't know if the Saints would take him because of the size. He's diminutive, but at the end of the day, he's very productive. If you can look past the Kyler Murray, when they took Kyler Murray and guys like that with smallish quarterbacks, if they could play, they could play, All right, anyway, I got a few more, then we're going to get on up out of here. Quavader says Saints drafting a QB in this draft. They having all these meetings with QBs kind of showing their hands, probably a 3rd round pick. Who do you think they get, bro? Put it in the chat. DJ D Smooth says, bro, I did a mock draft and Hunter was still on the board at 9. I'm not sure why. Yeah, the mock drafts are thrown off, bro. Like at first, you're seeing it's kind of weird. I think it's AI because it's the same thing happened with Shador. Like when he didn't show up to the combine, you seen his stuff drop, and I'm like, why are they doing that? And usually you're not supposed to drop after. It's 2 ways you drop in. Well, one really good way you drop in rankings dealing with the combine. Well, actually a couple of ones. And I'm going to just say 2 of the bigger ones are you have a bad performance at the combine or something negative comes out about you, like you smoking weed or you did something bad. You know what I'm saying? That drops your stock. If it hits at that time or around this time when negative stuff started hitting you, then it can lower your stock. It costs you some money because with the draft selections, wherever you slot it is, there's a pay scale for that particular slot. Didn't stop all other stuff from the past where you're getting overpaid. Now, wherever you slot, that's what you're going to make. But the thing is, that's the 2 ways you impact it. He didn't do none of that. He simply interviewed, Shador Sanders interviewed at the combine. He talked to everybody. He just did not participate in the throwing. He didn't do any of the physical stuff, but he did sit down and talk. You do know his background. He comes from NFL Hall of Fame bloodline. He has 4 years worth of college tape. 4 years worth of really good film. If you really don't know who he is, you got 4 years worth of tape. 2 years at Jackson State, 2 years at Colorado that you can look at. So he's saying my resume speaks for itself. I don't need to come here and throw this ball around. I've been doing it for the last 4 years. Just go and check my tape. So it was no reason for him to drop in the combine. It was nothing negative. All they had to do, and they know who the kid is. They know who he is, but it's just, that's what they do. That's why I was saying it's some BS. That exposed it to me. I was like, man, that's some BS, man. That's like Mel Kiper selling you paying Mel Kiper a bunch of money to elevate your not so good college player in his mock drafts, and then that puts him on the board with NFL teams because they're paying attention to Mel Kiper's mock drafts. He does it every year. You know, he got caught, like I said, he got caught up in a scandal for doing that. He promoting those guys and they're giving them money for it. It's a nice little hustle Mel Kiper got going on, man, on that mob stuff. Byron says, Q, Giants already have QB. They signed James Winston. He's a bridge quarterback, bro. They're still looking for a young franchise quarterback. James is just the bridge for whoever they're going to pick up. All right, Covatus says he think Edwards or Jackson Dart. Probably Dart. Jack says same thing. McCord, Milroe, all good options. Byron says Saints got to get Cam Ward or Sanders. My girlfriend, I prefer Ward because Tennessee might trade out. The picks already passed. I don't know if they trade, bro. They kind of locked in on them. They didn't address the needs in free agency. The only way they're going to get it is in the draft. They got to some kind of way electrify that support base. Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders does it. It's just, whoever it is. All right, DJ D Smooth says, hit the like button. Thank you, fam. Appreciate you. As well, much love to everybody in the chat. What's up? All right, what's up, Diamond baby? Shout out to Diamond Lachey. Who that? Appreciate you as well, Queen. Appreciate you for being in the stream as well. All right, T Dirty says, I just want to see. He said, I just want to see if everything we're doing will work. They got to show me QA, bro. Let me hit that button for you, brother. Where that show me at? I ain't going to hit that Dick Gregory. That's a little too hardcore. I got the ladies listening tonight. I can't be having no cussing going on, babe. We got to represent the ladies night. But you're right. They got to do this, brother. Now y'all don't hit me sing. I was about to hit the second part of that. Y'all don't want to hit me sing. All right, I was about to hit. I was in the mood right quick, baby. All right, Hemisphere, shout out to you, fam. Appreciate you, Kathleen. Shout out to the Queens, man, representing the mighty Who Dat Nation, man. Yep, yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm about to hit that second one, baby. I'm about to hit that second line. They got a second line behind that one. All right, T Dirty says, mate. He says, did you? Oh, okay, T Dirty, man. Hey, bro, email me, bro. The link, I'll buy one from you, bro. Let me know, man. He says I made a shirt, the show me shirt because of me. Okay, yeah. Well, T Dirty, bro, send me the link into my email. It's I'm sorry, man. I'm blanking out right now. The Pro Media Network at gmail.com. That's the PRO Media Network at gmail.com. THE Pro Media Network at gmail.com. Send your link, bro. I'll buy one of them from you, my brother. I get one from you and rock them on the show, bro. Much love. All right. Yeah, I was going to get one of Jono's joints too. He had to show him some support, man. We got to support each other in the Who Dat Nation. We got a great community of people. Shout out to my little brother, TJ, man. We did a wonderful show. Always love talking to him, man. He's a good dude. And we got to support each other, man. Our community is one of the strongest ones, man. I like the Cowboys people community too. They do a wonderful job of collabing with each other, man. But the Who Dat community is by far a very special community, man. Feel honored and privileged to be a part of the mighty Who Dat Nation, man, and representing the Who Dat Nation and keeping it all the way funky, baby. That's what I like. But big ups to, I'm going to get one of them from you, my brother, and rock it on the show. All right, so anyway, with that being said, fam, listen, I'm going to get on up out of here. Fam, don't you know, baby, it's 12 o'clock, baby. Baby, this is Q After Dark, baby. It's 12 a.m., baby. And with that, baby, it's going. I know y'all guys to get to work tomorrow, and make some stuff pop and shake for your fam, and I won't hold you, baby. So with that being said, I'm going to get out on that. I appreciate y'all. Y'all do me a service. hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and sharing is caring, baby. Sharing is caring. Y'all hit the like button for your dog. Also, give some love to our sponsors, man. Mint Mobile, Teach Henley, and Bet Online. The links are in the description section below. Fam, show our sponsors some love, man, because they help out the stream in many different ways, man, to bring this good message. So I'll holler at my Patreon family members tomorrow. Tuesday is Patreon Tuesday. Got some mock drafts to come at you with, some more breakdowns on the draft as we get ready for the draft. More positional breakdowns will be live tomorrow on Patreon Tuesday. And we'll be back on Wednesday for more black and gold talk. Much love. I'll holler at y'all later. Y'all be safe. Much love. Peace. Who that tell you?
Yeah. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Long as I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. Sports Coma, yeah, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like elf. I thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your shame for the championship. Fucking on town, duck down. Falcons, pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL, when things seem fishy, then you probably smell the crooked referees or Roger Goodell. Probably like this, and I'm a who that. Every day I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like Benson, I'm a who that. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
Say they gon' beat them, say who that? Who that? Who that say they gon' beat them, say who that? Who that? Who that say they gon' beat them, say who that? Who that?
Bet Online is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting in 2025. Whether you're a seasoned fan or a first-time bettor, Bet Online is your ultimate game day companion with the largest selection of odds on everything from NBA and college basketball to NHL and UFC. Bet Online continues to be your number one sports betting source for every three-pointer to hat trick. Bet Online has you covered with odds, stats, and more for every game, every play, and every win. Bet Online, the game starts here.
WhoThatDaily.com. That's right, WhoThatDaily.com. Your one-stop shop for everything New Orleans Saints, New Orleans Pelicans, LSU Tigers, even the top flight boxing news. So if you're a Who That and you're looking for a place to stay up on your team, WhoThatDaily.com is your site. The WhoThatDaily.com for the sport Who That in all of us. That's right, Project, the Pro Shop, is the platform store where you can go and buy all the latest merch to support the platform. Available at the Pro Shops, we have dozens of hundreds of products available for you and your family. Unisex tees for men and women, hoodies and sweatshirts, tank tops, kids and baby items, long sleeve tees, mugs, pillows, wall art, bath bedding, face masks, phone cases, stickers, bags, fanny packs, socks, hats, and many other items. Please feel free to check out the Pro Shops. The link is in the description section below. And remember, it helps the platform continue to grow. Check out the Pro Shop and who that too.